or today, wherever you are in the world. I'm Brooke, and my special guest tonight on Soul Focus is Siona Glasson. And she pretty much does everything. And you specialise in herbs and stuff like that, don't you? Go on, Gypsy.
I like that, herbs and stuff. Well, that's like very broad.
I know you sell a lot of herbs.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everyone about yourself, what you basically do, Siona?
Well, as you know, I'm a herbalist, so I sell herbs. I have a massive range of different herbs. I do wholesale and retail herbs. I've got herbal tea blends, so you know about my chakra tea blends as well that I have. So I've got the chakra tea blends. I also have two natural skincare lines. So I've got one for baby and just other one for more specialised skin conditions. And I'm in a couple of Foodland supermarkets here in South Australia, which is good.
Awesome.
And I have a whole range of stuff, but what I'm doing at the moment, that's what that is.
Okay. Since we're a spiritual show, can you tell
Yes.
tell everyone how you came about to being in this line? How you awoken?
Oh my God. Okay. So this is like a really long story. So do you want me to try and keep it as short as I can?
Yep. So keep it under like under 2 hours.
Under 2 hours? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Basically, I've got a lot of different backgrounds. So when I was a kid, it was one of those things of you go to school, you go to uni, get a good job, have a family, all that kind of thing, like the typical thing your parents push you for. And so everything that I liked wasn't available at university. So I ended up studying social work and getting a degree in social work. So it was a 4-year degree. Worked in it for a little while, but bounced around here and there, hospitality, all that kind of thing. Wasn't a big fan of the so-called ethics and values behind the social workplaces that I was working for. So I've steered away from that. But ever since I was a kid, I was always interested in recycling and sustainability and natural products and herbs and all this kind of thing. And when I was younger, that's right. And then, that's right. Sorry. It jumps in like a few little things here. So I'm trying to keep this as quick as I can. But basically, when I was doing the hospitality, around that time, my mum ended up buying a new house that had an olive plantation in the Adelaide Hills that had 600 olive trees. And
Nice.
I don't think you've actually heard this story. And and she bought a plantation. She's got 600 olive trees. And I'm just like, oh my God, Mum, what are you doing? Like, why would you want to buy 600 olive trees? Like, you work full time. Why would you want to be doing this? And she goes, it'd just be fun. And it's not fun. She spends 4 months of the year working every single day of the year and picking olives.
Yeah.
So it's not fun. So don't do it. Anyone who's thinking of doing, just don't. It's terrible. But I said, what are you going to do with the olives? And I said, you're going to do like marinated olives. And she said, probably do olive oil. I said, okay. So what are you going to do with the olive oil? And she goes, Siona, why don't you make me some skincare with olive oil? And I was like, oh yeah. And I said, because I was already dabbling with my bits and pieces anyway around that stage. And she goes, I said, what would I make? And she goes, make me something for my crack split fingers, because she gets really bad crack split fingers. I'm like, okay. And so I did. And it worked so well on her, and it worked heaps on other people. And then it was just getting really good. And lots of other people saying, can you make me something for this? Can you make me something for this? And then I ended up having a range of about 16 different products for different skin conditions for all these different people that I was getting really great feedback from. I've had to narrow that down because having 16 products is just too much. So I've cut a few things out over the years. But basically, like, I was making the skincare and I thought, okay, I need some kind of background here as well. Like, I need to have that wonderful piece of paper that tells you what you do. And so I went into aromatherapy, and aromatherapy wasn't right. Then I went to herbalism, and herbalism was the thing that sit for me really, really well. And it's really great because I've always been able to pick up different energies of the herbs. And I've always been really spiritual. So coming into the spiritual side of things, because it's a spiritual show, but I've always been really spiritual ever since I was a teenager. I've always been really switched on. Love herbs, love nature, and I feel like I just have this really, really strong connection there. And the herbs speak to me really well. Like without reading what they're for, I tend to know what they're for anyway. And that's why the skincare has gone really well, because
Nice.
I'd mix up blends together, and I'd get a lot of information from spirit, and I'd be like, oh, that's not traditionally used for this kind of thing. And then and it would work. So like, yeah, it's just turned into this big amazing thing. And now I'm shifting into the herbs more than the skincare side of things. And the herbs have got so many different uses, as you know.
Yeah.
They've got so many different uses, and it's just really great. They've just got so many medicinal benefits, but not only medicinal benefits, they've got a lot of spiritual benefits too. So
They do.
I know you've got a couple of favorites. What are your favorites?
I like, what's the Enchina? I don't know what it's called. I forgot. My spelling's
Not
bad.
the cinchona bark. Are you talking cinchona bark?
No, it starts with an E.
Echinacea.
Yeah.
Echinacea? Oh, okay.
So. But
The immune boosting herb.
Yeah, I use it for shaman work, because it's when you do stuff, you burn it off. And the funny thing is I'd accidentally buy it double up on one thing, and then I got a cold and read up on what I need for a cold, and it's like, whoa, I just bought double of that. And it's funny how the universe works like that.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking to my own remedies as also with that. I got like 100 books now for.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah.
there we go.
Not 100, but I've got a lot.
That's all right. That's
So keep going.
Well, I don't know. I was like kind of trying to like draw out that line, but I wasn't quite sure where you want to go with that. So I don't know. What do you want me to go into? Because there's a lot of ways that you can use your herbs, obviously.
Yep.
But for me, I guess personally,
yep.
I always get a bit funny talking about this, because it's still one of those things that that people don't talk about a lot, and it's not one of those things that it's not like you go to a psychic fair and you see a psychic reader. It's different. So I do a lot of, for lack of a better word, exorcisms.
Yep.
I deal with negative entities. I deal with haunted houses, portals, entities, all sorts of things. And the herbs are really, really great. Herbs are. Are we allowed to swear on the show? Because it is after 9:30. So
That's all right.
The herbs are a great bullshit detector. Okay. So you can burn certain herbs. You can use certain herbs in certain ways to determine what's going on. So.
Yep.
I mean, everybody sages their house, right? Most people sage their house for protection and cleansing and blah, blah, blah. But when I am detecting negative entities, I love using bay leaves. Do you know about this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've read a bit, but I've never used it. I've never tried it.
Yeah. So you get a dried bay leaf, and you light it up, and normally bay leaves and any kind of leaf that's really, really dry just tends to go and like it'll crackle up and it'll just burn really quickly. It's like a firecracker, or you know, the dried eucalyptus leaves.
Yeah,
and how they go up really quick.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's how a bay leaf normally goes up. If there's a negative presence in a house or around a person or anything like that, the bay leaf will constantly blow out. It's like something is blowing out the bay leaf, because it does not want it to burn. Because bay leaves obviously are quite toxic to some of these negative entities, and they don't like it. It weakens them. So I like going around houses and around people, and if it doesn't burn up real quickly like that, then I know straight away that there's a negative presence. I know, that's a different one, isn't it?
No, well, I knew that they, like, I read that there's all these different ones that are are used to get rid of negative energies, but to hear them how they're actually used like that, that's really fascinating.
Yeah. I've got some really interesting stories from some cleansings and clearings and stuff I've been doing, and I'm starting to get a little bit of a reputation for being like the exorcist lady now.
The Ghostbuster.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, do you know? This is really funny. I actually have to say this. When you say Ghostbuster, a few months ago, I changed my ringtone on my phone.
Yep.
And I changed it to the Ghostbusters ringtone, and I just did it because it was funny. I just did it because I thought it was funny. And then my phone was ringing in the middle of a consultation one day a few weeks ago, and I let it ring, and she goes, "Do you know what? That's actually really fitting." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, well, "You kind of like the Ghostbuster." I'm like, "Oh yeah." So that was quite funny actually. But yeah, so I do a lot of that sort of thing. I don't know if you want to hear any stories.
Yeah, absolutely. The stories are the best. Yeah, absolutely. You guys don't hear any stories, do you? Nah, they will. I love it.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. That I've just done so many of them. The other thing as well, certain things come up to me, and certain things come through to me, and at the time it doesn't make any sense to me. And I mean that happens a lot with a lot of psychics and things like that. But at the time it doesn't make sense. But good old Google, type it into Google afterwards, and a lot of the time I haven't heard of half these names, and I'll type it into Google and there'll be an answer there. Example was, this wasn't a clearing necessarily, but I did do a clearing on this particular house later on. But there was this woman that she'd set up cameras around her house. She was a bit of a paranoid type of person, a bit of a worry wart. So she set up a lot of cameras around the house, and she set one up in her backyard, and she was watching it, and she screenshotted this one image in her backyard, and it was a full head. It was a head of a man. You could see there was a nose. He looked like quite angry with like quite defined frown lines. You could see his eyes. And I looked at it, and this has taken me a long time, okay? So I need a name. In order to really get rid of an entity, I really need a name. And it's taken a lot of practice, like years and years of practice to get names come through. And this, it would have been within a minute. I'm looking at this man. I'm going, what's his name? And the name, like I kept thinking like Rumpelstiltskin or something like that. I'm like, it's not that. And the name Leopold came through, right? So the name Leopold came through. And the other thing that happened with this woman is that in this house, she was sending me videos of hundreds of orbs flying around her lounge room, like hundreds. And it was ridiculous. And a lot of people were saying, oh, that's just dust, blah, blah, blah. Some of it was dust. I give that, but most of it was orbs. No, that's right. And so anyway, I looked up, I'm like, Leopold, that's whatever, like sort of thing. That's just a name. And I looked it up. And the first thing that came up was King Leopold II, who was a horrible tyrant of a king in Belgium, who was responsible for over 10 million African deaths. And he was horrible. I don't even want to say half the stuff he did. Like, it was awful. The things he used to do to these people, to like as slaves, and it was just terrible. And basically, what was going on is that man, and I actually got a screenshot of what the picture of the man looked like compared to the man that was there, and you could see it was the same thing but had morphed over time, because he's about 250 years old now. Yep. And once they're in this evil sort of state of being, they start to morph over time. Some turn into creatures. A lot of them, like if they're in a negative state for such a long time, they turn into a creature form. they can be reverted back to human form and then sent away. Sometimes it can't happen like that. But yeah, so basically you could actually see his big nose and his dominant cheeks that he had there, and the orbs that were flying around in the lounge room were hundreds, if not thousands, of the souls of the people that he killed.
Ooh.
And yeah, and I couldn't understand. I said to a girlfriend of mine who does African work, and I said to her, I said, I don't understand how a man in the afterlife can still have power over all these souls. And she said a lot of the time back in those olden days, they would get, like kings and stuff like that, they would pay and they would get witch doctors in the area to do magic for them to protect them in that life and the afterlife. So this particular king had power in the afterlife as well. So as much as I was like, I wanted to punish him, I wanted to send him to hell and all that kind of thing, but that's not my job. That's not our job. It's not our job to judge. So sent him to the light, because I tell you now, he's going to be judged so freaking harshly, and his next life is going to be so freaking shit. It's not funny. Yeah. So, and that's what I have solace in as well, is that as much as I would like to be able to punish him, it's not up to me to do that. If I do that, I'm doing dark magic. That's down the dark line, because I'm making judgment, and we have to be completely non-judgmental. So I sent him through that doorway to be able to move on to pay his penance in the next life. And then after that, a lot of the orbs stopped. She had still a couple come through, but I still had to do a very, very, very in-depth cleansing of that house, because there were a number of portals open in there too. So there was a god-awful stench in one of the rooms, which straight away I know is an entity, and a negative entity that does not want to go away. When you get a really bad stench, you know that it's not good. So things like garbage, rotting meat, sulfur, poo, wee, sewerage type stuff, anything like that, you're dealing with an entity that's not going away.
Yep. I've come across, I was actually looking for paying my respects to the cemetery, and I went to this one spot and I could just smell like a rotten fish, like out of nowhere, and I walked back and I'm thinking, that's something. That's going to be something. Yeah. That's not right to be out in the open.
No, that's all right. So you're bang on there. There would be something quite horrible there. So that's one of the best things as well, is that when you smell those smells, you know straight away. And even this lady was saying that that particular smell, she kept smelling earlier on in the year as well. She'd smelled it a couple of times going to that room, and she's got a dog, so she thought maybe the dog had done something. And that day that I went into the house, like, it smelled fresh. Like, I'm talking, it smelled like it was there for 2 hours. It was really disgusting, fresh dog poo smell. Yeah. And, and I went in the room and I said, look, I really need you to have a look around in this room too, because I'm not seeing anything. And I said, are you? And she said, I can smell that too. She goes, no, I'm not seeing anything either. I said, right, okay, we need to do this. So, because I always like to make sure, like, I don't jump straight to the conclusion that there's an entity in most places. I go through a very thorough process and assessment and all that kind of thing, and I rule out a whole heap of other bits and pieces as well, because there's a lot of psychological things, there's a lot of other manifestation things that can go on. But yeah, it's a pretty in-depth process. So I've actually got because I've been doing so many of them lately as well. It's like ever since COVID hit, they're all coming out. So, and because everyone's staying at home for longer, they're noticing them more probably. But I've actually had to put a little bit of a document together for people, because I'm finding myself being very, very repetitive, and I don't want to miss anything out. So I'm just like, here you go, have a read through this.
Tick all the boxes.
Yeah, that's it. So I still do the initial assessment. So we do an initial assessment, and then and then we work out what's going on. There might need to be a follow-up assessment, But I generally like to have the initial assessment at my place of work so I can figure out what's going on and talk to people about things. If I go to someone's house, I can't differentiate whether or not there's an entity attached to them or the house.
Yeah.
So I like people to come to me in my space. And because the space I've got is very, very high vibrational, and there's so many different herbs, people have got a very, very strong attachment, feel very sick in that place too, in my shop.
So if they've got attachments, they'll feel, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, some of them don't even want to step into the shop. Like there's so many, I've had so many people say, oh, they've been wanting to come to my shop for ages, but something always comes up and they can't come in and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yep, I know why.
Yeah.
I just let them talk and see how they go. And basically, yeah, something always comes up that, oh, yeah, like, well, I think this is going on. And I'm like, yep, there it is. I'll just wait for them to talk first because I don't want to initiate anything because I don't want to preempt anything in someone's mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes it harder to get to the truth because as soon as someone has attachment to an outcome, it tends to sway their thought, the way they go about their thoughts.
Yeah. Conversations can bring things up too. Do you want another story?
Yeah.
Okay. This one is quite profound actually. This one shocked me a little bit. So beautiful woman comes into my store. She's like tall, elegant woman, like an older lady. She's got this like power about her. She was this impressive woman. She walks in and she wanted to chat to me about some things, and she was basically saying that she's always got this tightness in her shoulders that never seems to go away. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Yep. And she was going through like, oh, I have massage, I have acupuncture, I have this, and blah, blah, blah. So basically she was rolling out everything that I would normally ask. And I said, okay, right, no worries. Well, we'll have a bit of a chat. And we started talking about some things, and I gave her some really good points, some things to think about, and a couple of little activities to do in the week, like after. So we needed to do a follow-up appointment because I just wanted to get a bit of an idea of what was happening. Because a lot of the time, I don't get information until about a week later. These things are really well hidden. So if something does not want to show itself, it will not show itself. It won't. Yeah, it's
surprising how elusive things can be when they.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a liar. Like someone who doesn't want to know the truth is going to hide it at all costs. So these things are going to try and hide their what is it? They're not attachment. What am I trying to say? They're basically just trying to hide themselves the whole time. Yep. And they're trying to stay secret. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And anyway, the next week after she came back, we were doing our follow-up stuff and we were still chatting. And some of the little exercises that I got her to do, I was a bit shocked about what she was saying. So she was a couple of little exercises she was saying. She was getting strange sounds coming out. So she was growling a little bit, and I thought, oh, that's a bit strange. Okay, no worries. She shouldn't be having that sort of reaction. And as we're sitting on the couch, we're actually talking about a lot of the underground stuff that's happening in Adelaide.
Yep.
So because some of the things that I've seen in visions have started coming out.
I'm well versed in that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Have I been really scared? I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So some of the visions I've had, it's just been really strange, and I know it's there because I feel it's there, but then it's like months later down the track, you get all this information that just confirms everything you saw, and you go, wow, like how can I possibly know that sort of thing? But anyway, we're talking about all the underground stuff here in Adelaide, and she was getting this pain in the side, and she's like, oh God, she goes, I'm getting this like real horrible pain in my side, like where my kidneys are. And I'm like, oh, it's a bit strange. She said, something doesn't want us talking about this. And I'm like, oh, do you want me to do a bit of a clearing on you? Because I do clearings, little energy clearings on people too. And she's like, okay. And normally I do very simple
General.
spritz sort of thing.
Yeah.
But as I'm doing this, I'm like, I don't know. I was getting all my herbs out, and I'm like, right, I need this and I need this, and I was just like, bang, we need this. So I ended up putting down a circle of I use black cardamom because they don't like spirits hate pungent herbs. So cloves, valerian, the black nutmeg. So not the green, no, not nutmeg, cardamom, not the green cardamom because that's quite nice, but the black one because it's really pungent. Actually smells a bit like rubber in your hand. And I put that as a circle around at the bottom of her feet, and then I'm doing the clearing, and it turned into a banishment. So a banishment or exorcism, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
So basically, she had this thing attached to her the whole time, and I do my normal thing, like not normal thing. Everybody has a slightly different process what I have to do, but I have to touch different areas of her back and behind her head, sometimes top of the head, sometimes in the front. A lot of the time attachments will come in. They've got like these long spear-like fingers, and a lot of the time they're black when they're a creature. And I don't know if I can do this way. They come in the back here and in between the shoulder blades. So I'll physically see these black knives coming in at these different spots. And I place my fingers on certain spots that there, and it loosens it. And they hate it. It loosens their grip and it weakens them. And I get the person to hold a certain herb in their left hand and a crystal in their right hand. Because essentially what we're doing is we are expelling this beast or being or whatever the hell it is out of the body and putting it into the crystal. We're actually banishing it to the crystal. And then afterwards I'll lock it away and seal it up and put lots of sigils and all that sort of stuff on it. But the left hand, because the reason why we do the two different sides, the left hand is your incoming. So you want protection on the incoming.
Yeah.
The right is outgoing. So we're sending this thing outwards. So that's why we want the right hand. So I was doing all these little bits and pieces, and she's holding these two things. And then I rolled up her sleeve and I grabbed her wrist and I started chanting. And this woman started growling at me. She was growling at me. She was swearing at me. She was telling me not to touch her and to get off of her. This was not her talking. She was like shaking, and she was literally convulsing while she was standing up. This thing was just not liking what I was doing. and like it took a little while, admittedly, because these things aren't easy, but eventually got it into the stone. And then after we get into the stone, we put it all away in a little container, a little box, seal it up, and I put all my special sigils and everything in it to protect it, stay in there, because there's a special, a special little thing I need to put around it that I've been told from above what to put it on there. It's actually 2 different languages, funnily enough, that I put around it, and we seal it up and I put it away into the darkness and keep it very far away. After that,
people buy those on eBay.
Yeah, they actually have a name. I forgot. What's the name? Do you know what the name is?
No, but they sell the salt boxes and they open them on the thing and things start jumping off the wall. It's like, why, people? Why?
Yeah, I will not be doing that, I tell you now. Like, those things need to stay in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do a lot of those sorts of things, and she was just like afterwards, she's just like, oh my God, she was so shocked. She's like, she actually said, I'm sorry. And I'm like, don't be sorry. Like, just be glad you got that stab in the side, and we knew that we needed to do something. And I was just guided the whole time. It was great. But then afterwards, we got to raise the vibrations as well, because after that happens, people can feel very empty. They can feel like there's a loss, depending. Like, there was one man I did earlier in the year, and he's had something attached to him since he was 4, and he was about 56, I think, when I did the clearing. And and he was saying about how he felt really empty afterwards. But with this woman afterwards, I said, okay, I just need to do one more thing because her shoulders were still quite high up. I said, okay, I still need to do one more thing. And I got her to sit on the floor in front of me, and I'm doing a little bit of work. And I'm like, I need to release your wings, because she had these beautiful wings, but they were like all really tight in. And that's half of why she had all this pain up in her shoulders too. And next thing, I get this whoosh. Her wings just went out and like whacked me in the face. And I was just like, oh my God. And she goes, is everything okay? I said, yeah, your wings just whacked me in the face. Thanks very much. She just cracked up laughing. And the moment that happened, the moment I did that, her shoulders literally dropped an inch or two on each side. And she's like, oh, wow, that was amazing. And then I gave her some follow-up stuff. And I said, look, right now, you need to go to the ocean. You need to put your feet in the sand, probably put your feet in the water as well. No, because it was a freezing cold day. And I said, look, I'm being told that you got to put your feet in the water, really sorry. So she went down. It was a busy beach, but she rang me up afterwards when it happened. She goes, oh my God, I just had to tell you. She was sitting on the beach, and in that moment, there was absolutely no one around. Like, even though it's a busy beach, absolutely no one around. And she saw this sparkling on the water, like diamonds and fireworks and all that sort of thing, just sparkling on the water. She said it was thousands, like almost like it was coming in waves. Like she said it was just like diamonds sparkling on the waves as it was coming in. And she just felt such a sigh of relief. And she got told that was like a celebration for her to say, congratulations, you've got through this. So, it was so beautiful. I was like, oh my God, like it was just so wonderful to be able to do that with her. So, it was a pretty powerful thing. A lot of the time when I've finished doing something like this and I raise the vibrations again, something profound usually happens with people. It's so beautiful afterwards. It's amazing. Yeah. I'm seeing a few questions over here. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I mean, the burden they've been living with, and they just take that as the norm. And people don't even realise sometimes. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I've had something as well, and I didn't know, but I kind of knew because I wasn't feeling normal. So I had to get a friend of mine who does Reiki to help me with it, because I couldn't do it on my own. You can never do it on your own, because it's embedded in your own energy. And if you're trying to use your own energy to get rid of something that's already in your energy, it doesn't work.
That makes sense. What sort of do you usually use a particular? What sort of stone do you usually use? A specific one, or
clear quartz.
Does that vary?
Clear quartz.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really, it's very easy to attract because it helps to amplify energy, but also because it's so transparent, it's really, really easy to get them in there and trap them in there.
Master crystal.
Yes, that's right. It's very, very easy to use a clear quartz. Yeah. Now, Kathleen says, have I ever been really scared? I'm guessing this is in relation to when I do house clearings. No. If you go into one of these house clearings and you are really scared, then you leave yourself wide open to potentially attracting something as well. When you have not necessarily high vibration, but when you're a light being and you're just this massive beacon of light, this light projects so far into the universe. Like it's seen from miles and miles and miles, and everything can see it. The good, the bad, and the ugly, everything can see it. If you are one of these beautiful bright lights, but living in a state of fear or guilt or grief or anxiety or any of those lower energies, you're immediately a target. And it's really, really hard because we're human. we're going to go through those times when we're really low, but we also have to really protect ourselves and be vigilant and be really careful about what we do during those times. So when we're feeling low, when we're feeling angry, how do we express it in a healthy way? Like, don't go and drink yourself to oblivion. That's going to make things worse. Don't go and do heaps of drugs. That's going to let everything in your third eye and your crown chakra, like that's really dangerous. If you go gambling, you might go into a pub that's surrounded by other people with attachments, and then they go, oh wow, well, hang on a sec, that one over there's got a really bright light. Let's follow that one home. So like there are just so many different scenarios. It's not funny. So no, generally I don't get very scared. I've seen a lot when I was a young child. I used to have the worst nightmares. And that's one of the things that made me realize that there were attachments and negative things around as well. I grew up in a very, very chaotic household. A lot of conflict, a lot of fighting, a lot of everything that's not very nice, basically. Yeah. And I suffered from nightmares at least 3 times a week. And I'm not talking your standard nightmares. I'm talking blood, guts, ghosts, fighting evil, having things you can't see, having intestines thrown around the room. I'm talking horrific dreams. I even had one time where there was a werewolf, and it came into a party, and all of my friends started turning into werewolves and shredding each other apart and killing each other. And there's like dozens of dead bodies in my party. Yeah, like
that's not standard one I've had.
Yeah, no, that's right. They're not your standard nightmares. And so I suppose when we're talking about scared, those nightmares scared the shit out of me. They were horrible for me. And so this type of thing, it really doesn't compare to what some of my nightmares have been. So yeah. I'm going to have to actually plug my battery in a minute, so because I'm on my laptop. I'm going to get to Cindy's question in a minute. Is that all right? I just have to go grab my battery.
That's fine.
Thanks. Hang on.
So if you've got any questions, people, just ask away. Siona's got a shop on Chappies Hill Road. So if you're in South Australia, there's links for a website. So if you wanted to send anything or you're interested in any of her products, just have a look on her website. Plus, you can follow her on Instagram under Garden Gypsy Adelaide. So she posts when she gets new things in. She's got third eye teas, all sorts of herbs for everything. Dragon's blood. She's got tons of stuff. And so if you need anything for an ailment, just hit her up on the site.
Whoops. the PowerPoint.
Right.
The PowerPoint is like literally this much too short a distance. So I'm just going to hold this here.
Oh, that's all right. That's okay. Oops. Okay. That's okay. Technical difficulties will wait if we get her back. But yeah, as I say, she's got her own website, and you can get her on Instagram. So all the links are in the show notes. So if you want to connect with Siona Jane and see what she has to offer, she does all sorts, and she makes teas, third eye chakra teas, all sorts of chakra healing teas, you name it, skincare products, and that. And we'll see how we go. You'll go to her for protection. We'll find out when she gets back. So people, we'll just have a couple of minutes. We'll just see how it goes. I'll just talk to you. Yeah. So there's plenty of things to do. So if people want to get, are you back? We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can just keep talking if you want like that.
Oh, really? I'm so sorry that you can't. Can you see me or not yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I can't see you either. I'm so sorry about that. My even though I had it plugged in, it did not actually didn't start charging until it was too late. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. If you can just keep talking like that, that's fine.
Okay, sure. As long as you guys don't mind. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We got a question. What would you, if someone had a new house, what herb would they burn first in it?
The bay leaf, like I said earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's it. See if anything's there first.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely be burning bay leaves to see if there's anything there, because then you know what sort of course of action to take. So if you find that the bay leaf is extinguishing too quickly and it's not, and it keeps going out and it's not burning properly, because it normally should go up like a firecracker. If it doesn't do that, then you know that you need to go through and do like a whole heap of protection and cleansing and all that kind of stuff. If not, then you could go through, if it just goes through normal, then you could just do your sage. You want some nice herbs like lavender, because lavender is very healing, but also very beautiful, brings in a really nice calm energy. You could also bring in spearmint, which is also another healing energy, but a little bit more stimulating, I guess you could say. So a bit more of an exciting type of feel with it as well. So it really depends what type of vibe you want to bring into your house. Does that make sense? Yep.
But that makes sense. Like some of the old, like everyone would, in the old days, everyone had like bowls of lavender everywhere. I guess that was for a reason.
Yeah. Well, different herbs were obviously, like, it depends in the era and whereabouts you were in the world as well. But lavender was obviously for smell. Like a lot of the time it was for its smell, but it was very calming. It was good for sleep. It is a healing herb. It was crushed and used on skin conditions that were really painful. It just has 101 different uses, that one. And it's similar to calendula. Calendula is another one that's really well known. And calendula, because of its bright yellow and orange color, is actually packed full of vitamin A. So that's another reason why it's so good for the skin, and why when you ingest it, it's very, very anti-inflammatory. Also helps with tissue repair because of that vitamin A content in it. But calendula is very, very good for things like irritable bowel syndrome and things like that, where there's a lot of inflammation in the system.
Also, I've got another question. What is your go-to herb for protection?
For protection?
What's your go-to herb?
My go-to herb for protection, that's a good one, because it depends on the thing I need protecting from. But I guess you could say cloves. Cloves would probably be my go-to for protection. They've got that pungent smell that entities don't like. They're quite they're one of those more high vibrational ones. And I just tend to use, I suppose for protection, clove would be the one that I would tend to go for. Yeah.
Do you crush it up? Do you just leave it around, or do you burn it on charcoal?
Keep it whole. Yeah, I keep it whole. I mean, you can crush it up and powder and then sprinkle it in doorways and stuff like that. But if you got pets, it's going to be pretty irritating to your pets. So I tend to keep the cloves whole, and I either put 2 or 3 in the corners of each door. So like where you got your doorway, and then at the base where your carpet is or whatever, where your doorways is, you just chuck it into the corners there. And that, unless you're going to go through sweeping and vacuuming, they stay there pretty well.
Oh, good. I'm going to do that. I'm going to throw it next to the obsidian marked obsidian I've got near the doorway. So throw some cloves down.
It's really important as well that you change it over regularly as well, because and the same as crystals as well. A lot of people forget that when they're doing things like that, the crystals need recharging like every week or something. Okay. So because the amount of energy that they filter and go through, and they're only small crystals, they have to do a lot of work. So they need a lot of rejuvenation, I guess you could say. But if you're using herbs in different places, you will need to replace them every week or so, because you do want them as fresh as they can be.
So I guess with the, say, like you've got your crystals near the door for protection, I guess you could just put a small chunk of selenite with it, and then that would take care of that.
Could do. It could do. I still think all crystals need recharging at some stage by other things, by other beings, only because I have I've seen the energies that go through the earth and everything. Even though selenite does hold a lot of energy and is one of those recharging crystals, selenite does need recharging on its own as well. So we can't always fall into that trap of thinking that there's one thing that keeps recharging everything. We do need to get into the mindset of and the habit of constantly refreshing the energy as well, because energies get old like an apple. You leave an apple there for a week and that's going to go yucky. So it's the same sort of deal. You just got to keep changing it over.
So how would you? So what do you just? What do you do for most crystals to recharge? How would you go about that?
For crystal recharging, once again, I like changing up the different methods. Depending on the crystal, I love doing under the moonlight. So under full moon, new moon, whatever type of energy you're trying to get. I like putting on the grass, so not just a table or a windowsill. I like putting it outside in the open air on the grass. A really good way to do it is putting in a glass bowl, and the glass bowl is full of water, and then out in under the moon as well. But I also like to use the sun. I like using the sun to recharge, because I deal with a lot of negative entities, and negative entities hate the light. They don't like bright. They don't like light. They don't like the sun. They are purely darkness. So whenever I'm dealing with entities, I deal with crystals that have been charged in the sun. That's a bit of a spin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't do that.
No.
Yeah. I had a sorry, will you go?
Oh yeah, no, I've tried it a few ways, but mainly I've got a slab of selenite the size of a baseball bat, and I just throw everything.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, well, that one's definitely going to need to get recharged every couple of months. Yeah, but for selenite, you do it in the moon, under the moonlight. Yeah, and you know that you can't put selenite in water anyway.
No.
But yeah, selenite's better in the moonlight. If you put it on the grass, on the earth, definitely. But I just wanted to say about how the darkness hates the light. So earlier in the year, I dealt with the banishment of a young boy who had something attached to him since he was about the age of 6 months. So the mother actually remembers when he changed. She can actually recall almost the date when this little boy changed from being a beautiful, beautiful child to something that she didn't recognize. Basically, just whingy, whiny, everything. And it never changed back. It just stayed that way. And this boy's been labeled as being on the spectrum or something like that. And that's the other thing as well. A lot of these kids and stuff on the spectrum, they're either got amazing abilities and like highly empathic and can feel so many emotions of others that they get so confused, or there's potentially an entity present because of the amount of rainbow children and crystal children that have been born. But going back to this young boy, I've been talking to his mother for a number of weeks, and we said, okay, we'll bring him in. And I kept saying, I need a name, like out into the universe, trying to get this name for this bloody entity that was attached to this boy. And 2 days, I was due to do the clearing on the Tuesday morning, and Sunday morning, I woke up fresh out of bed, absolutely nothing on my mind. It was completely blank mind, and the name Beelzebub came to mind. And as I said, I want a name, and the name Beelzebub comes through. Now, for those of you who don't know Beelzebub, that's basically another name for the devil in the Bible. And I'm just going, no way, that can't be right. And I looked it up, and I was looking up his name, and he's known by a number of different names. Now, the things that were surrounding this boy were, Some were quite mild, some were quite big. Some of the things that was happening in the house were massive. For example, they would be getting fly infestations in the house, like in the kitchen. It's the middle of winter. It's freezing cold.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 50 to 100 flies on the ceiling in the kitchen. The thing that really got it for me, like really made me question things as well, is she said, like the mum was saying, she got the boy to go and clean his toy box, and he was very resistant. He was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like they call it some sort of, I don't know, some sort of syndrome where they're resistant to any kind of authority, basically. And he's like, no, I'm not doing this. No, I'm not doing that. Blah, 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 blah. Like wouldn't even have a bath, would not get into a bath, wouldn't have a shower. But the biggest thing, he wouldn't wet his head. And I'm just like, yep, okay, no worries. There are all symbols that there could be something going on as well, because these things, it's a cleansing for them, isn't it? If they're getting wet in water, it's a form of cleansing, and they don't like it. They want to stay dirty and stingy and disgusting and smelly because that's what they like. So anyway, this boy just loved filth. He was starting to go very dark. He was putting up blankets over his windows to stop the light coming in, starting to wear long sleeves so the sun wouldn't touch him. When I did the initial consultation with him, I got him to hold different herbs, and I said, look, tell me how each one of these herbs feels to you in your hands. And he's very switched on, and he had a variety of different sensations that he felt with each different herb. And I gave him about 20 different herbs. But the interesting ones were calendula and chamomile burnt him. He said it felt like it was burning him, it hurt him, and it itched. And I was like, okay, they're the ones that represent the sun. They're the ones that represent light. And I thought, okay, that's definitely something there. That's not right.
Yeah.
Cloves. So when I put cloves in his hand, he felt like something was pulling him out from behind. Like he felt like something was being pulled from outside of him behind him. And that's why I say cloves are really good as a protection thing, because negative entities don't like that. All the different herbs that I put in his hands, he reacted to the way I expected him to react to. But to make sure that he wasn't fooling me, he wouldn't have known what I put, because I didn't say what they were or anything like that. I chose 3 other herbs again that had those same feelings as earlier, and put them back in his hand, and he got the exact same feeling from those 3 herbs that I had earlier. And he wouldn't know, because most of them all look the same. So, and he told me he had the exact same feeling. But anyway, 2 days before I was doing this time, I got the name Beelzebub. I was like, no. And I looked up the name, and the other thing, sorry, I just have to rewind a little bit here. The other thing that the mother said happened is when she opened up the toy box to ask him to put all these toys away, there would have been 100 to 200 flies that came out of the toy box, and there were slugs throughout the toy box.
Yeah.
Slugs in the middle of winter, and flies. And she said, I looked through. I said, was there anything? She said, I looked through for a food source. She said, I upended everything. There was absolutely nothing in there. And I'm like, well, a boy could definitely not catch like 200 flies and put it in there. And how are you supposed to get slugs in there and stuff? And that's just disgusting. But when I looked up the name Beelzebub, his name, he's also known as Lord of the Flies.
Yep.
And I didn't know that at the time. And I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this one? So, I was dealing with trying to get rid of Beelzebub from an 11-year-old boy. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, when I say that, calendula and the sun, they don't like the sun. This Beelzebub didn't like calendula, didn't like chamomile. The boy was wearing long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants all the time, putting up things in the window, blocking out the sun, because these entities don't like light. They don't like natural light. It hurts them. They don't like it. So that's another really big indicator. So if you get a house, you make sure you try and open up all your windows nearly every single day, because it helps to bring the light into the house as well. because they if there's no shadow, they can't live. They can't get any power from anything as well. Well, that's one of those things. Sorry, it's a double-edged sword there as well. There's exceptions, but the more light you let in, the less likelihood you have of something getting stronger in that place.
Makes sense. Couple more questions.
Okay.
What about Palo Santo? What's your take on that?
Palo Santo,
Quickly.
I don't mind Palo Santo. However, Palo Santo I do really like to use more for South American entities, Mayan entities, or spirits as well. Palo Santo is a little bit more high vibrational. So I would normally use something like that after following a cleansing. So rather than using it for a cleansing, I would follow it after a cleansing to help raise the vibrations a little bit, because it's really a beautiful wood, and it's really, really nice, and it is used more ceremonial rather than purification over in South America, because I've been to Peru and seen how they used it over there, and they do tend to use it more for a purification rather than a cleansing, if that makes sense. So if you're trying to purify the air rather than cleanse the air of lower negative entities. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah.
Absolutely. Can you see the one that Emma Thompson? Can you see the private chat?
No, it's not coming up. My computer seems to be frozen. I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm just like hanging around here on the bed, so I can't see anything coming up. So you'll have to let me know what comes up.
What are your thoughts on attachments coming through from past lives?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, there's a big thing with that, actually. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of I've seen a lot of that. It's a thing. It's real. It's not something that's made up. I'd love to get clarification on the question. What exactly do you want to know about it?
No, that was just the only question there. That was
okay.
Well,
are they able to clarify their question?
Tracy, can you clarify that question? Let me see. Not sure. There's a delay. There's a problem on Facebook. There's like a 10-second delay.
Oh, okay, so, right.
She'd be typing like a madman now, going quick.
That's all right. Come on, chop. No, that's okay. It's all right. We only got a couple of minutes left by the looks anyway. But attachments coming through from past lives. I have seen a number of those with people.
Yep.
And obviously you can clear them. There's like nothing's impossible to clear as far as I'm concerned. And it's really about, a lot of the time, the work that I do, I make connections between people's lives and the attachments they have. So there's always a reason for an attachment as well. You can't just go and say, oh, I think I've got something, let's get rid of it. It doesn't work that way. They have attached to you for a reason. There are entities around for a reason. Your house is haunted for a reason. You've been attracted to something for a reason. There is always a reason, and there is always a connection. And part of the job that I do is determining what that connection is. I do get a lot of, I hear around the mill, there's a lot of people out there that do cleansings for places that are very generalized, I guess you could say. And that's all well and good, and that works really well. But if you're going to really do it and shift it for good, then you need to work out what the connection is. And that's when the psychic side has to come into it. Yeah.
Well, that's what Jesus said when he cast out demons. He basically said, go and sin no more. Whatever you were doing to get it attached, stop that.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
Otherwise, it'll just come back.
Oh well, I did a clearing. You know that You know, that house that I said I did a clearing for and it stank and like there was a stinky and all
Yep.
that. There was so much happening in that house. I feel so sorry for the person because the next day, something quite traumatic happened to that person and they went straight back into their old ways and went straight to the alcohol, went to the gambling and all that kind of thing. Within a day, within 24 hours of clearing that place, and a week later, I'm getting messages saying, this happened and this happened and this happened. And I'm just going, oh, you're shitting me. Like, you're joking me. Seriously. I can't believe it. And it was a lot of hard work because there were so many things going on in that place. And to hear that person knew what they had to do. I give a sheet at the end of it as well that gives a whole heap of suggestions on how to keep your vibration high, how to avoid having these repeat things going on. And a lot of them are things like stop doing drugs, stop drinking lots of alcohol, don't drink 10 cans of friggin' caffeinated drinks a day, like just that kind of thing. Like it's just really smart. It's just smart stuff, really. It's just living a healthy lifestyle, basically, is what it comes down to. But to have that person revert back into their old ways within 24 hours, it was actually really heartbreaking as well. I really felt sorry for that person because of what had happened. It's just the timing of it. Like, you wouldn't believe it. With less than a day, she has this house clear for less than a day, and then that happens. And I'm just like, oh, that was the biggest test. That was the biggest test, and they failed it. And I'm just devastated for them. I really am. But Anyway, has she clarified?
Oh no, she just wanted to know your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Can you look at someone and know straight away if they've got attachment, or is it a bit? You said it was more complicated than that.
Not always. Attachments do like to be very, very well hidden. They don't like to make themselves very known because they hide in your own energy field. So if someone's got a yucky energy that I pick up on, then I'm going to pick up on that entity at the same time. Like if they've already got a horrible energy. But if a person has a really beautiful energy, I'm going to feel their energy first. And it makes it really, really hard to tell, because even if you've got a lovely energy, it doesn't mean to say you don't have something attached to you. Like I said, they hide in that, and they know what to play on, and they know how to hide, and it does make it really hard. But some people have certain traits. You can look at them and you know. Some of them will make you feel sick. I had this one person who came up and started talking to me, and oh my God, I'll never forget it. I started burping and I felt sick and I got reflux and I wanted to vomit. Like, I felt disgusting, and I'd never felt like that before. And I was really shocked with that one. It was gross. And even the next day, I saw a photo of that person and I got the same reaction straight away after even looking at the photo. It was bizarre. But that's I can't always pick it up, but generally conversations, during our conversations right now, conversations when we start talking about things, people start opening up, conversations come out, and there's certain conversations that entities don't like us talking about, and that's when they make themselves known. That's when they give themselves away.
By messing with the electrical devices and all sorts of things sometimes.
Oh my God, they do. Do you know a lot of the occurrences that happen in people's houses are near their electrical box on their house. So if you honestly, if you get a lot of activity in one particular room in your house, you go outside of your house and you have a look and see if the electrical box is right in the path of that. Because most of the time they're drawing energy from that. I can't tell you how many houses I've gone into and then gone, hang on a sec, I'm just going to go and check where that is. And then I'm like, yep, okay, that makes sense. They're drawing power from that and that and that and that. And then sometimes your placement of crystals, like you get big chunks of clear quartz or amethyst in the house, which amplify energies. And if you don't know that there's portals or things going on in those particular parts of the house, the quartz and the amethyst are amplifying those energies and making things worse. But a lot of the time you wouldn't know. Like, you wouldn't know that it was there for that, like, and what was going on. So yeah, it's definitely a very, very interesting process.
Just one quick question. Can attachments be a good thing? And for a good reason? It's an interesting question.
That is a very good question, actually. If you're saying a good thing as in a learning curve, then yes. But other than that, no. They're never here for a good reason. They're never here for anything of light. They're always here to drown us, try to bring us down. But
feed off our energy.
Yeah, that's right. They want to feed off energy. They want to mess with us. They just want to cause havoc. They want to cause chaos. They're just not nice at all. So in that sense, no, it's never a good thing. But if you're looking at it from a what can I learn from this point of view, then yes, it is a good thing. Because if you get someone like me that comes up and goes, okay, no worries, we've got this, now why is it there, and what's the reason for it, and look for the connection, then there can be past life things that come through that has caused that to happen, or there'll be something that you'll learn about yourself, or some kind of healing that needs to happen in yourself that you weren't aware of that needs to happen. There's a number of different things. So if you're looking, like I said, if you're looking at that personal lesson stuff, then in that sense it's a good thing. But other than that, having an attachment is not a good thing.
We better let you go.
Yeah, I know.
Otherwise,
we knew we'd talk though, didn't we? We knew we'd talk.
It's actually, it seems like a long, but once you get in the chat, a 1 hour show is pretty quick.
Yeah, it does. And this sort of conversation, like it's this particular topic, yeah, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about attachments and entities and cleansing and clearing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm actually in the middle of starting to develop a course, actually learning about it.
I know plenty of people that be interested in that.
Yeah, it'll be like Harry Potter's defense against the dark arts. And so it'd be similar to that. So it'd be like defense against the darkness type of thing. So learning about attachments and entities and all that kind of stuff. So according to what I've learned so far in my life as well. So obviously the more I age, the more I get, like the older I get, the more information I'll get as well, and I'll be able to develop that even more later on. But I just really feel at the moment people need to know about these sorts of things and how to identify it. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and especially with all the personality disorders that keep coming out, and I'm just like, half of them aren't even personality disorders. Your child's an empath and they're picking up everyone else's friggin' energies, or there's something else going on. So, it's so hard. Yeah. Like, not everybody it seems like every second child has got some kind of personality disorder, and it's not right, because that's not. Yeah. But we don't know any better, because we're just a human race, and that's it. And everything's ruled by medicine. So yeah.
Well, some of them are human, barely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some. Yeah.
We'll have to have you on next year sometime, just to talk about this sort of thing, if you're interested. I'm sure.
Attachment, defense stuff again.
Yeah, just talk about attachments and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
We'll talk later. Some time.
Yeah. That's no problem.
You can always come on the show again some other time.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
It'd be great. We'll let you go. Otherwise,
no worries. There weren't any more questions? Was there any more questions?
You watch out for saying that, because that's like saying, does anyone else want a card when you're doing a reading show?
I just feel like there's another question out there lingering that didn't get to come through yet. That's all. I'll give it a couple of seconds, shall we?
Oh, yeah. Is there anyone? I'll check with the comments.
Well, they can always send you a message, I suppose, and you can forward it on to me if you like.
Well, you've got your links are in the show notes. So if anyone wants to get anything from your shop or your wares or need some information, they can go directly to you.
No worries. All right, thanks. Yeah, I just feel like there was a question in there that someone wanted to ask, but they were maybe a little bit too afraid to ask.
Who was that?
I don't know.
Speak up now. It's 11:11. It's 1:11 on the show.
Oh, really? There we go. See, mine's paused at 39:31.
Okay.
No, all right, that's okay. They can get in touch another time.
No worries. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for being on the show, Siona. It was awesome. I learned heaps, and I'm sure everyone did. It was brilliant. And just remember, if you want to get in contact with Siona or you want to check her wares in her shop, I bet she's got a website, and it's in the show notes. Thanks very much for coming on the show. You enjoy the rest of your holidays. Have a lovely time.
Thanks.
And I know we can't see you, Wade, but
sorry. Something just came up there. I don't know if you can see anything. No.
Click on it. No.
Oh, let's see. No, it lost connection. I can see you now, though. Oh, and look, all these messages all of a sudden. Yeah. Here we go. Yes, I saw a message come up. Did you see that?
Yep. Yes. Can attachments be asking to help left behind
loved ones? Can attachments be asking to help left behind loved ones? No. Attachments do not help. You can also get attachments that pretend to be family members. The biggest thing is, sorry, just before we go, if you ever, this is the biggest warning I can give out to anyone, okay? If you ever get someone come through to you and they appear to you as a loved one, don't take that straight away as your loved one, because they can morph into different things. They're very, very good at hiding themselves. What you need to do is, before even saying, like, say, are you my Uncle Michael? They'll go, yes, I am, because they can lie. But if you ask them, say, what is your name? They have to answer you with your actual name, with their name. They can't make up a different name. They have to tell you what their name is. So if it looks like your Uncle Michael, Auntie Janet, whoever, and you say, what's your name? And they can't tell you their name back, then that's not who they're trying to pretend to be. So you got to be really, really careful in that respect as well. So no, attachments aren't going to ask to help with loved ones that are left behind. That's something else.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll be on the next show.
Yep. That's it.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Siona. Are you going to be at any psychic fairs soon?
No, I'm not doing anything until the new year. I do have the chakra workshop in December. Yep. Chakra meditation tea in December, but I'm not doing anything again until next year sometime.
Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful.
No worries.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it was great. It was great to learn and hear what you do. Okay. Okay. See everyone. Bye.
See ya.